Hello, everyone. We're going to talk about Lev Vygotsky from the group of pioneers of modern education. And the members are Susana Jimenez, Sara Garcia, José Leiva, who's speaking, Jesus Barrios, and Sofia Espinosa. I'm going to leave you guys now with Susana, who is going to give a brief intro about our topic.
Hello everyone, I am Susana Jimenez and I will start with the introduction. So, Vygotsky developed a sociocultural approach to cognitive development, according to which individual development cannot be understood without reference to the social and cultural context within which it is embedded. Higher mental processes in the individual have their origin in social processes. Vygotsky's theories stress the fundamental role of social interaction in the development of cognition, as he believed strongly that community plays a central role in the process of making meaning. Vygotsky argued that learning is a necessary and universal aspect of the process of developing culturally organized, specifically human psychological function. In summary, social learning tends to come before development. Next slide, please. According to Vygotsky, there are tools of intellectual adaptations. These tools are attention, sensation, perception, and memory. Vygotsky claimed that infants are born with the basic abilities for intellectual development, which he refers to as elementary mental functions. Eventually, through interaction within the sociocultural environment, these are developed into more sophisticated and effective mental processes, which he refers to as higher mental functions. Now my classmate will continue.
So one of the things that culture affects is memory. In young children, memory is limited by biological factors. However, what culture determines is the type of memory strategy that kids can learn. In our culture, we learn note-taking as an age memory, but in pre-literate societies, other strategies must have been developed, such as tying knots on a string to remember, or carrying pebbles, or repetition of names of their ancestors. So Vygotsky refers to these tools of intellectual adaptation, saying that they vary from culture to culture. Next slide, please. So Vygotsky believes that young children are curious, actually involved in their learning and the discovery of their new schema. He posits that learning occurs in children's social interaction with skillful tutors that can be teachers or parents or even peers. And these tutors might give verbal instructions, or they can just model their behavior. And in order to develop these concepts, we need to understand what is the zone of proximal development and the more knowledgeable order. So Josue will teach us more about that.
Hello again. I'm talking about the two main principles of Vygotsky theories, which are the zone of proximal development and the more knowledgeable order. With the zone of proximal development refers to the area where the most sensitive instruction or guidance should be given to achieve higher mental functions. It represents the difference between what a person or children, anyone can learn on their own, and what they can achieve with a skillful instructor or someone with more knowledge about certain topic, which is the more knowledgeable other, a person who has a better understanding or a higher ability level than the learner with respect to a particular task, process, or concept. And Sarah previously mentioned, it could be anyone with more knowledge about a certain topic what someone is trying to learn. So thanks to these two theories, the scaffolding theory was developed as well, put forth by other researchers who expanded on Vygotsky's original theories. What this theory is about is techniques that help to develop the zone of proximal development. To give a more broad example, we have a graph that explains in detail what represents the relationship between these two theories, the zone of proximal development and scaffolding, with the more knowledgeable others and the technology and tool that can help someone achieve what we can learn of help, with help, and what's beyond our reach. So I'm leaving you now with Jesus, who's going to talk about Vygotsky and language.
Hello, I'm Jesus Barrios and I will talk about Vygotsky and language. Vygotsky believes that language develops from social interactions and communication purposes. He views language as the greatest tool for communicating with the outside. According to his research, language plays two critical roles in community development. It is the main means by which adults transmit information to children, and also language itself becomes a powerful tool for intellectual adaptation. Next, please. Here we can see the three forms of language according to Vygotsky. Vygotsky differentiates between three forms of language: social speech, private speech, and inner speech. In social speech, external communication is used to talk to others, manifested at the age of 2. Then we have private speech, which is typical from the age of 3 and is directed to the self and serves an intellectual function. Vygotsky was actually the first psychologist to document the importance of private speech. Finally, we have inner speech, which is when private speech goes underground and it takes on a self-regulating function and is transformed into silence, typical from the age of 7. For Vygotsky, thought and language are initially separate systems from the beginning of life that merge around the age of 3. At this point, speech and thought become interdependent. Thought becomes verbal and speech becomes representational. When this happens, children monologues are internalized to become inner speech. The internalization of language is important because it drives cognitive development. Now, my classmate will continue with the classroom applications.
Hello, now I'm going to talk about classroom applications. So Vygotsky emphasized the collaborative nature of learning by the construction of knowledge through social negotiation. Teaching styles based on constructivism mark a conscious effort to move from traditional objectivist model didactic memory-oriented transmission models to a more student-centered approach. A contemporary educational application of Vygotsky's theory is reciprocal teaching, used to improve students' ability to learn from text. In this method, teachers and students collaborate in learning and practicing 4 key skills: summarizing, questioning, clarifying, and predicting. The teacher's role in the process is reduced over time. During scaffolding, teachers instruct in small steps according to a task a child is already able to do independently. The teacher should also support and assist the child until he or she can complete all the steps independently. Here we have 4 scaffolding techniques. The first one is ask a student at their thought process, modeling how to solve a similar problem. Ask a student what should be done next and use visual aids to help conceptualize a task. Then we have zone of proximal development. First, we have a teacher in an experimental psychology course might initially provide scaffolding for students by coaching them through their experiments. Another one is a teacher may provide traceable worksheets to students learning how to write the alphabet. The teacher may also use a whiteboard to model the steps it takes to write letters. In the next slide, we have a meme about Vygotsky. And well, thank you so much for your attention. I hope you liked our presentation.